Hey, you guys, happy Tuesday. Tricia Turner here with Walk Away Wealthy, bringing to you every week now for 3 years something positive, some ways to help improve your life, some ways to help improve your business. And what I really want us to be focusing on right now is number one, in real estate, because I'm a real estate broker. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and real estate's all over the news. You know, are we going through a mortgage crash? Are we going through a housing crisis? Like, what is this? And so I've got friends all around the world. And rather than letting you guys tune into the media or fake news, I wanted to bring you my friends all around so we can really hear like what is going on in their market. I'm in Houston, but I've got Joe with me here today, and he's not in Houston. He's coming to us from Vegas. So Joe, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I love that intro. That was awesome.
Wasn't that cool? It's got some good energy, huh?
It was great. Yeah, it was great.
Now, you guys, if y'all been following my story, you know that I just recently left EXP after being there almost 5 years. I had my own independent brokerage prior to that, and I'm with Real now. And I met Joe because of that. And so I am super excited to be part of a company that's like really making a difference and people that are really forward thinking. And so, Joe, for people that don't know you or your story, can you kind of share a little bit of your background and how long you've been in real estate and all of that stuff?
Yeah. So like you said, Vegas based. I got into real estate in 2002. I was young. I was 21 years old, almost 22. And got in, spent the first probably 8 years of my career at Remax. In 2005, I took on a business partner. So Taylor and I are 50-50 in everything we do. We started the Joe Taylor Group, literally Joe and Taylor. And so, you know, the recession hit 2 years later, year and a half later. We did a lot of REOs and short sales and loan modifications. And so our career was took kind of a funny path there. We made it through the recession with the neighborhood stabilization program. For those that were not in the real estate industry at the time, the federal government started buying housing and converting it over into low-income housing. And so we were able to help the city of Las Vegas buy, I don't even remember, $20 million worth of real estate, which is kind of what saved our careers.
Wow.
So yeah, it was great. And then in 2010, we started our own independent brokerage. That was our first kind of foray into independent broker world. We ran it for 2 years, ended up selling that brokerage in 2012. Stayed on, kept our team at that company for 4 years. Started a tech company that had nothing to do with real estate. Partnered with Shaquille O'Neal and like amazing brands. Snoop Dogg was tweeting about it. It was awesome. It failed. And in 2014-15, got back into real estate full time, opened another brokerage in 2016, built that up to about 125, 130 agents. And then 2 years ago, so 2021, we moved our independent brokerage over to Real Broker. We launched the state of Nevada with Real in 2021. And, you know, today, our team based out of Vegas, we have satellite teams in a couple of different markets. We have almost 2,500 individuals in our network at Real, which has been a game changer. We run, and I'm just giving you the full scope. We run an investment company. This year we'll do about 150 units on the investment side.
Nice.
We have JVs, you know, like Real Title is a partner of ours. So we've got title, mortgage, insurance, JV. So our world is pretty big. We've got about 100 agents on our team. I like to say 1,000 transactions a year. Last year was a little bit low, just with the market the way it was. This year's low again. So we're probably on track to do about 700 units this year.
Okay, number one, that is a lot of stuff that you've done, and that like holy crap. So you guys, if y'all don't think he knows what he's talking about, clearly you got something wrong, because he does. 2 independent brokerages. I didn't know about 2 of them. So yeah. I'm going to have to ask you there, like, you did it once and then you did it for 2 years and you sold it. Right. Why did you sell it then? Was it you were sick of it? It wasn't profitable? You got a good opportunity? What was the first one?
So the first one, Taylor and I took on a third partner.
Okay.
So Taylor and I have been business partners for 18, almost 19 years, and it just works, right? We get each other. We have very similar goals and aspirations. I think for both of us, real estate is not our life. Real estate is how we provide for our life. Like, we are not the cocktail party, convention junkie. Like, for us, it's like we put in our time so that we could be with our families.
Yep.
Our third partner was much more real estate is everything, cocktail parties all the time, like this very social scene of real estate. That just wasn't us. So there was some natural friction there because we'd go home to be with our wives and children. He would go to cocktail parties, and at the end of the next day, he'd be like, "Where were you guys last night? You weren't at the My Vegas magazine launch." And we're like, "Bro, that's just not what we do." So there was some natural friction there that led to him buying us out and taking on a different partner. The brokerage still exists, and they do good business here in Vegas. So that was kind of the exit out of that first brokerage. It just wasn't a good fit from a partnership standpoint for the three of us to work together.
Okay, and then you turned around and you did it again. So you had enough. You didn't have enough, clearly, because I know, like, running a brokerage is not fun, and everyone thinks that it's so glitzy and glamorous, and it's not. It's not profitable, and it's a lot of headaches. With your second time go around, was it just you and Taylor on that one?
Yeah. So the second one was basically us paying, I don't even remember, $80,000 in transaction fees and office rent, whatever, to the old company we used to own, and us going like, man, for that amount of money, we basically looked at it and said, between E&O insurance and office rent and copy machines and toilet paper, we would pretty much break even just opening our own shop. So let's just go open our own shop and control it ourselves. And that was kind of the thought in opening our brokerage in 2016 was, even if we just operate our own team out of here, it's going to be pretty much a break even. And the upside is we, create more income, therefore reduce our cost basis, where at our old brokerage, the more deals we did, the more costs we had. So it was like, it just made financial sense to start our own thing.
And then when you did that and then switching over to real, what was it? And I was going to see, I'm doing this in reverse. You never know what's going to come out of my mouth here. Your story was like, holy crap, you just set me up for so many questions. I got to start doing these now. All right. So then moving over your independent brokerage, did you run your brokerage as a team model, or was everybody kind of doing their own thing?
Yeah, we kind of ran a teamerage. Lead generation has always been a specialty of ours. Okay. So what we noticed was we had our core team of like 15 agents. And then as people would just come on and hang their license with us, we started converting a lot of them into like, hey, still do your own thing, but take our leads and we'll put you on a split. And like, you just kind of do your own thing, but close some of your deals, some of our deals, and we all win together. So that was kind of the concept we worked off of. So come 2021, I would say of the 125 agents, about 75 of them were on some sort of split agreement with us because they were either on our team or independent agents taking our leads, or the other 50 agents were just fully independent, either their own team, they were on a team, they were just solo agents. So that was kind of the makeup of our company in 2021.
Okay. And then the switch over to real, what made you make that move?
So we had been approached by someone with EXP, quarterly, semi-annually, monthly. It just, like, for us, the launch of EXP in Vegas was really sloppy. The agents that did it, it was just kind of spammy. And to be honest, when EXP came around, I just didn't think it would work. Like, to me, my tagline was, EXP is a bunch of agents that don't want to sell real estate, recruiting agents that they want to sell real estate that actually don't want to sell real estate. And so, like, in my mind, I couldn't see it working. But then we had agents, friends of ours in the industry, that went over there and were really doing really well. So come like 2021, my mindset on the ecosystem concept of revenue share, agent ownership, and all those things had changed. Like, I was like, all right, well, it's obvious it's working.
Yeah.
I certainly, though, to me, when I looked at EXP, I had this kind of showing up to San Francisco in 1855. It's It's like, the gold rush was in 1849. That's why the 49ers are called the 49ers. Like that was the peak year of the gold rush.
Yeah.
So in 2021, what I saw was, okay, I understand the concept in ecosystem. I believe it has some merit, but EXP at that point had 50,000 agents.
Yep.
And I was like, if I'm going to hop into this type of ecosystem, I don't know that I would want to hop in as agent number 50,001. Like, and I know that there's still massive growth to be had and all those things. So what actually happened was a coach of ours that is a Keller Williams agent introduced us to Real. We got a buyout offer from a company that I think has gone belly up. We got an offer from a company that was trying to expand into Vegas, not a revenue share-based model, and they wanted to buy our brokerage. What they really wanted to buy was Taylor and I. And so they offered us to buy 51% of our company, for us to stay on as minority shareholders, and for us to kind of build their brand in Nevada. So we took that to our coach and said, hey, this is a multi-million-dollar buyout, so we're not going to just turn it down. What do you think?
Yeah.
He vetted it with us and basically said, like, it looks good, but if you're open to change, why don't you take a look at Real Broker? That was the very first time we ever heard of it. And so we were like, well, what's Real? And he's like, well, broad strokes, it's an ecosystem similar to EXP. It's new, it's fresh, it's young. They're not even in your state yet, so it's a big opportunity for you. There's only, at the time, I think there was 2,000 agents or 1,500 agents at the company. And so it was a combination of like seeing that the EXP ecosystem worked, understanding that there may be some merit to that type of concept, and then being introduced to a young company that had a lot of upside was kind of that moment of going like, well, maybe we ought to start taking a look at this. So from there, that was like March of 2021. So then we got into conversations with Tamir and, upper leadership, and it kind of led to where in June of 2021 was our official launch.
Wow. Now looking back, and how many agents did you have in your independent at that time?
What's interesting, we had 125, but then a team of 15 left, right before we even announced. So they left and went to another company because the guy was offering them, basically everything for free, right? So we were at like 115 agents. And then when we announced our move over to Real, about 90 of them transferred with us. So we went from 125 to 110. And then from 110, 90 moved over with us. And of those 90 that moved over with us, I would say probably 50 are still in the ecosystem. Yep. 40 of them have either surrendered their license or went to other companies because they, greener pastures or whatever they perceived. So that was kind of our from 125 to 110 to 90.
So number one, that's impressive to move that many agents over, because I had 50 when I went to EXP, and not all 50 were happy about it at all. And they didn't. So only about half went with me, and the other half either became competitors or did something different. But it was a new thing. And again, that was almost 5 years ago. And so no one really kind of knew what to expect and how to handle it. And again, it also was bumpy, and things that I thought were going to happen didn't happen. But it's a great model. It is a great model, because at the end of the day, if you're trying to create wealth for your family and your agents to show them a better life, so that, they're not going out on listing appointments and they're 60, 70, 80, unless they want to, and especially right now with the market in the situation that we're in, a lot of people are really worried, and that is their only source of income is transactions. So having that kind of mindset and a different ecosystem, like you said, is completely different. Now you're 2 years in. Is there anything you wish you would have done differently, or how has this impacted your life and your agents' lives?
Yeah. I'm sure there were mistakes along the way. For us, it's been the best move of our career, 100%. We thought really small when we came over, to be honest with you. Getting to 500 agents or 1,000 agents, or now, over 2,000 agents in our world, that wasn't the game plan. I wish I could say like we had some, goal of getting to 2,000 agents and we hit it and we bought ourselves Ferraris or whatever. That just wasn't the case. For us, it was like we moved over, we partnered with Spring Benson, and it just happened. Like we noticed pretty quick. Our goal initially was to go from 90 agents. We figured if we got to 150 agents, we would be making the same amount of money in revenue share that we made owning our brokerage. So that was our initial goal, was let's get to 150 by the end of the year.
Okay.
And I think within 3 months, we were at like 400 agents. And we're like, dude, this is, like in an ecosystem like Real, the easiest way to think of it is for every agent in your world, you make about $1,000 a year.
Sure.
Same thing with EXP. It can be higher, it can be a little bit lower, but the easy math is if you're able to bring 100 agents into your world, you're going to make about $100,000 in revenue share, give or take. Yep. So for us, we were making about $250,000, $300,000 a year from owning a brokerage, not our team income, but just owning the brokerage. The income was about $25,000 a month.
Yeah.
So now fast forward to, we come over in June, and like October of 2021, we had about 400 agents in our world. And we're like, we're on track to make $400,000 in revenue share. Like it was an absolute no brainer. So, I mean, massive victory. I think hindsight, maybe should have been a little bit louder, should have made a few more calls initially. Because there, like anybody in this ecosystem, there are people who were friends of ours or at least industry, comrades, people that we knew that came over to Real, not knowing we had even joined after we had joined. And then we're like, oh my gosh, we didn't know you guys were there. And we're like, oh, we were so stupid. So if I have any regret, I think it's just not having made those calls early enough to the people that knew us. Yep. Like I believe in an ecosystem like this. Number one, people choose to sponsor with people they trust, and then they choose to sponsor with people they believe are competent. And if there is anything that Taylor and I have really established in the industry over our 20 years, it's been trust and competency. Like people know that we're pretty ethic-based guys.
Yeah.
We're pretty good at what we do. And so like, there's not a lot of people we would call that wouldn't take our call. I think initially though, we didn't want to come off spammy.
Yep.
Like for us, the EXP launch in Vegas was very spammy.
Yeah.
And so like, we were very sensitive to that. We're like, we don't want to spam people, but hindsight, I mean, there are people joining Real now that I'm like, dude, who did it hurt? Like, who did us not wanting to be pushy hurt? It actually hurt them. Yeah. Because had they gotten into this ecosystem 18 months ago, they would now be at a couple hundred agents in their world, and they would be so much better financially. So as you know from your days at EXP, it's one of those things where you're like, it's good for people. And that the broken ecosystem that everybody came from, the traditional individual owned brokerage, corporate owned brokerage, where everything you pay goes to your broker and they should be the person giving you good advice. Like that is the taxi cab world. That's the old antiquated world. So we know helping people get into this ecosystem is what's best for them.
Yep.
And we also know that ecosystems like ours have a reputation for being pushy or spammy or MLM-y or whatever. So It's like this dichotomy of like, Tricia, I know this is good for you, but I don't want to be pushy. But if I don't start the conversation, you're going to miss out. But I don't want you to think I'm spammy. And so it's like, maybe hindsight, I wish I would have fought off the concerns a little bit more and made a few more calls initially.
I could see that because, there are companies that have really bad names, of course, then because that is a lot of what happened. And, I believe that like it's our job to share good news. Like I'm doing this to better the lives of the people that I'm around. And when you look at like the industry as a whole, it's changed. I've been in it 20 years like you have too. It's like, it's changed dramatically. Like it's nothing like it was 20 years ago. And I think we're only going to see even more changes in the next 6 to 12 months, drastic changes. And some
100%.
aren't going to be in real estate anymore, you know? And it's like our job. I always tell my agents, I'm like, when you're working with sellers, like you have to own, like you're protecting them so that they're not misguided by somebody that doesn't know how to value homes and doesn't know how to sell homes. Like you got to put that like suit of armor on, like, I'm going to protect you. I think with this model, it's the same concept. It's like, I'm trying to help you be innovative and secure your future in this, if this is what you choose to do as a career, because this is the next phase of real estate, period.
Right. Right.
You know, I think when you see other models, like I'm Gary Green, you know, like here in Houston, Century 21, Gary Green, they're laughable. They're so old school. And you look at like the agents that are in there, a lot of them also are old school, and they don't know the new concepts, and they don't have training, and they don't have anything to AI. What is AI? They don't even know what this stuff is. It's like, you guys are going to get lost. And I think for us to be out there, like talking about this stuff, it secures our future and our agents too.
Right. Right. For sure. Well, I think that's the challenge. I remember hearing about Uber and going like, there's just no way I'm going to get in some college kid's car and let him drive me around. And now, like, to be honest, to get me to go to a taxi cab would be impossible. It is crazy because like I have friends in the industry, like people who like I would consider more than just people I know. They're like actual friends that are so turned off by our move to real that like it's affected our relationship. And I'm like, dude, listen, I don't call them, I don't push them, I don't whatever, but I've just noticed like there are a few individuals that just their attitude toward me has changed. And I get it. I think it's insecurity. Like I think there's just this like you know, one of my one of my favorite little religious quotes is that like God's not going to force anybody to go to heaven, right? Like you got to make a choice yourself.
Yes.
And I just believe that like I really believe in this type of ecosystem. Real is not alone in this. There's obviously EXP and there's other competitors popping up every day. My whole thing to the industry is like, I put out a video today on my Instagram feed, and it was just basically like, if you're not in this type of ecosystem, you're only hurting yourself. Like, because you're basically, most agents we talk to, especially industry professionals that have been in the business for a long time. Like if you went to Susie Johnson in Tampa, Florida, that's with, you know, Remax, she would say, well, I don't want to be a recruiter.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, let me ask you this. How many agents are currently at your Remax office because they just wanted to be in proximity with you? And they're like, well, we've been here 5 years. I don't even know how to count. I'm like, well, give it a shot. They're like, I don't know, probably 40. I'm like, well, what does your broker do to repay you for those 40 people you brought into his world? Nothing. Like I get a little award every year. And I'm like, well, just so you know, at a company like Real or any of these revenue share models, you'd be making like $50,000 a year residual income as a result of what you've done. Don't recruit, just do what you always did. So anyways, it's just, I get it. Like I get the animosity. Like I don't enjoy having people knock on my door to talk to me about politics or religion or anything. But it's interesting that these ecosystems kind of get tossed in that same vein of like, oh, you're with EXP or, oh, you're with Real. Like, here comes the pitch.
Yes.
And I think one thing that's been refreshing for people is just, we don't pitch.
Yeah.
Like I don't, any of our events, any of our, like we've got tomorrow, we've got a big virtual event with Sharon Srivatsan, Jimmy Mackin, and Giselle, and there's all these amazing people. They're not going to be pitched on anything. Like if we create enough value in your life that you want to be in proximity with us, great. But if you don't find the value, then stay where you are doing what you're doing. Like that's been our whole model from day one, which is probably why we're at, if we were pushier, maybe we'd be at 5,000 agents in our world. I don't know, but we're just big.
You've got, like you had said, like it's been life-changing for you.
Right. 100%.
Like how many people can say that when they get into real estate, you know?
Well, how many people can say, yeah, joining my brokerage 2 years ago completely changed my financial life and outlook? Like, I mean, we were with Remax. They were a great company. Like we owned brokerages. I would never even say that the brokerages we owned were life-changing. Why do I say it's life-changing? Well, every year, Taylor and I make about 7 figures plus in revenue share. Like that's a massive game changer, right? The real estate economy right now is really challenging. Like our team is struggling to put deals together like they never have before.
Yep.
And we fight it every day. Like we're in the trenches helping our agents be successful. And at the same time, we're probably having the best financial year of our lives. So like that's this huge dichotomy, which is the market is like if we still owned our independent Vegas-based brokerage where the deal's done within these 4 walls, were how we fed our families, my wife and I would be having a much different conversation about our Amazon bill every month. Like we'd be having a much different conversation about the vacations we plan. We'd be having a much different conversation about like the guitar lessons for our son and all those things that just are not even issues because of the way we built our financial life for wealth. And so it's like, how can I call myself a friend if I'm not willing to talk to my industry, like collaboration, like people that I care about in the industry? How can I call them a friend if I'm not willing to talk about it? But it's also hard because I know that talking about it is going to create friction. Yep. So it's like this weird dichotomy of like, if I don't talk about it, I know that I'm not helping them. But if I do talk about it, they're going to think that I'm like trying to be pushy. So it's like it's this weird dichotomy that we all face.
It's crazy, isn't it? But you know what? It is what it is. And I think the more people hear about it, I think a lot of people need to be talking about it, which is what we're talking about our event too. We have this big event tomorrow. But before we talk about that, you guys, he touched on the market. So let's go into that. And here in Houston, numbers are down too. You know, interest rates are higher than they've been in a long time, and really long time. And people are feeling that a little bit. How is the Vegas market compared to 18 months ago?
Really tough. I mean, so we have competing issues that used to take care of themselves. So historically speaking, when interest rates go up, so does inventory, right? Because people are like, there's as rates go up, there's less buyers and sellers kind of freak out. So they list their home, and like historically speaking, they ran like this. Interest rates and inventory would go like this. Right now, though, they're going like this. Like as interest rates go up, inventory is actually staying really low. Because of that, prices have not dropped at all. In Vegas, we've actually gone up about 5% in the last 12 months, which is against everyone's predictions. They all predicted our market would go down. We've actually gone up a little bit. And it's just because we were at somewhere close to a 3 million rooftop shortage nationwide going into this high rate environment. So before rates even went up, we were short on housing. Now with rates going up and cost of goods going up and cost of labor going up with inflation, home builders have stopped building at the same rate.
Yep.
People still need places to live. People are still relocating for work. People are still getting divorced. People's kids are still getting bullied and they have to go to new school districts. All those things are still happening. So transactions are still taking place, but there's less inventory, and so prices continue to rise. So, our market is, I think we're probably down transaction count wise, maybe 10%.
Okay.
Overall, but the market is up 5% and inventory is down, so it's like, it's the weirdest market we've ever been in. Yes. Because, if you would have told me 3 years ago, like, hey, interest rates are going to be mid 7s, I'd be like, oh, there's going to be, 30,000 houses on the market and prices are going to have tanked. But you have this issue where, like, if you take me, for example, we bought an investment property, like to turn into an Airbnb. Our interest rate on it in Utah, our interest rate on it's 3.25%. Our primary residence, our interest rate is like 3%.
Yep.
So we will never sell either of those houses. Like, they're just never going to be sold. And so if you magnify that by however many households in the nation, like there are just people that are unwilling to sell their home.
Yep.
Probably ever.
Yeah.
They may even, as interest rates come down into the 5s, I think you'll see new buyers enter the market. Like those people will say, oh, cool, I'm going to keep this and turn it into a rental. But I don't think you're going to see mass number of listings come on the market, even when interest rates drop. So what I've been telling our team is you could probably expect somewhere around 10% appreciation for every 1% drop in interest rates. So if rates go down to 5%, I think you're going to see a 20% jump in appreciation in our market. So like if the median price is 500,000, I think over the course of 2 years, if interest rates go down to 5%, I think you're going to see the home prices go up to median price 600.
Which is crazy.
There's so many people sitting on the sidelines that the jump from 3.5% to 7.5% is too much.
Yep.
But when you see somebody go from 3.5 to 5.5, I think they'll make that work. So that's kind of the state of the market. Long story in Vegas is the inventory's down, people are still buying homes, and interest rates are through the roof. It's like the craziest market we've ever been in.
So here in Houston, and ours is very similar to that. However, it's crazy. Like they tell you, the National Association of Realtors will tell you, if you've got, less than 3 months of inventory on the market, seller's market. Traditionally,
Right.
yes. But here in a lot of pockets in the suburbs, especially, homes are not selling. I don't care where they're priced at, they're just not moving. And so when you look at the numbers here, our stats, at least 50% of all homes sold are being sold with seller concessions, hefty in seller concessions. Are you guys seeing that there?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, right now, Vegas is the #1 searched real estate market in America.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, people are moving here. Sorry, I think I'm gonna sneeze, but people, I think it went away. All right, people are moving here like every day, and so yeah, there's seller concessions for sure. Sellers are paying 2 to 3% in closing costs and
Yeah.
interest rate buydowns, whatever. But it's not crazy like we thought it was going to be, as far as like what sellers had to do to get their homes sold. I think so. The thing I tell our agents is become obsessed with why. Like, become obsessed when you talk to a home buyer. Why are they looking?
Yeah.
There's always a story. Like, are they looking because they're getting divorced? Are they looking because they're getting married? Are they looking because their mother-in-law is moving in with them? Are they looking because their kids are being bullied in school and they have to get into a new school district? Are they moving because their job transferred to Vegas and like renting sucks and they just, I mean, like, there's always a story of why.
Yeah.
And I think that is the story of 2023. Like, if I ran a real estate magazine, it would say like real estate in 2023, and the whole cover of the magazine would just say why with a question.
Yeah.
Like, why are people still doing this? But the fact of the matter is, like, life is necessitating it.
It is.
So what we've lost is the home buyer that is speculating. We've lost speculation. Like, we've lost, I'm going to buy this thing, and 2 years from now, it's going to be worth $100,000 more. That buyer is not currently in the market. But we haven't really lost the, like, hey, we're getting married and we need a place to live.
Yeah.
Or our mother-in-law is moving in and there's no way in heck she's staying inside of our house, so we're getting a casita. Like, those things have not changed. The only thing we've lost in our market is the investor buyer, and not even the institutional investor. We've lost like the mom and pop investor.
Yeah.
The speculator.
Are you guys seeing any more multiple offers and homes being sold over ask?
Yeah. I mean, good homes at good prices are highly competitive right now. Okay. So, I mean, we see multiple offers on $1.4 million homes if they're priced right and they have the amenities to go with it. Yeah. I think the biggest change I've seen in the market is, I remember when I got into real estate, and it was probably the same for you, like 2,000 square feet was 2,000 square feet. And we'd go list a home and they'd be like, hey, so we redid our cabinets, and we'd be like, yeah, it doesn't really make a difference, right? Like, 2,000 square feet is 2,000 square feet. I think Chip and Joanna, like your Texas neighbors, and shows like theirs have really changed buyer sentiment as far as what they're comfortable paying for the work that's been done. And so I think that in our market today, if a home is dialed in, like it's got a nice backyard, kitchen is upgraded, they've got an RV parking area, they've got a 3-car garage, like people will pay for those things. And so you're not seeing like $1.4 million townhomes with no amenities and poor upgrades. That's not selling.
Yeah.
But if you get a $1.4 million home in Vegas, a 1-story with a like super nice kitchen, kind of modern features, a pool, like that thing, it'll get multiple offers still in Vegas.
What is y'all's median price point?
I think it's like 460.
Okay. So you're not far off
wrong.
from Houston.
No,
I'll tell
I
you,
think it's pretty similar.
another one of our big challenges here, and I don't know how you guys are there, is homeowners insurance. So homeowners insurance in Texas as a whole is horrible now, and it's gone up like 50 to 75%. Are you guys experiencing any of that there?
I mean, moderately because of inflation, but the difference between Houston and Vegas is we don't have natural disasters yet, like knock on wood. So we have the propensity to get earthquakes.
Yeah.
We haven't really had a major one in my lifetime, but we don't have tornadoes. We don't have hurricanes. You know, we don't have any of those things. Where Houston, obviously, you guys are, you know, hurricane every couple of years, right?
Yeah.
And like, I can't even imagine every time that happens. Like even what happened in Maui, I'm like, dude, the human toll obviously is terrible.
Yes.
But also, who insures that? Like an entire city is gone.
Right.
Like that's going to be billions and billions and billions of dollars. And so like, you know, when hurricanes hit Houston, I'm like, dude, there's probably like $4 billion worth of damage done. Like you're telling me Allstate's just going to write a check? And so you guys have issues with homeowners insurance we don't have because we don't have flooding really. We don't have earthquakes. There's no like, you know, there's fire damage, but it's really localized because we have no wildfires that could really happen here. And so it's just, there's a reason why companies like Tesla and Microsoft like move to Vegas or to Nevada. It's just because there's not a lot that could happen from a natural disaster standpoint.
Yeah. And when you say it like that, like for consumers thinking like here in Houston, when we're looking at what can somebody afford housing wise, insurance is going to play a big role in it now because the cost is so high where you guys are not having that. So somebody,
it's never a discussion for us.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's awesome. I love that. But for our agents on our team, like we're like, listen, not only do you have to be skilled at negotiating and sales, and now you need to understand finance because the insurances or interest rates are crazy, but you also need to know about homeowners insurance now because their premium is going to really matter and it can actually make them accountable, which is,
100%.
So I'm glad that you guys don't have that there. What's your thoughts going forward as far as interest rates go, and what do we look like for 2024 in your eyes?
So I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but in my opinion, heading into a government like election cycle, so especially a presidential cycle, I would have to think that interest rates are going to come down. I would have to think that, you know, the difference between the interest rate and bonds, like the treasury yield, has never been higher. Like usually they follow each other. So the bond market has actually gone down and the interest rates continue to go up. So, I mean, it's just obvious that the Fed is using the interest rate to control the economy, or at least try.
Yep.
So you've seen things like, you know, like Tesla dropped the Model S by 20,000 and they just dropped it by another 20,000. So like you're in this economy where the auto market is feeling it really heavy. My prognostication, my uneducated guess is that we're going to see interest rates in the 5s again, because I think they're going to, as much as they've used, what I believe we've seen happen over the last year and a half is they're trying to slow the economy down so that they can speed it back up heading into a presidential election. And I understand the Fed doesn't, you know, have political parties and all those things, whatever. I just think heading into a presidential election, I can't see them heading into that election with the economy tanking. So I believe you're going to see interest rates come back down into 5s. And when you do, I think you're going to see an absolute run on housing, because there's so many people on the sidelines who are waiting to buy, who just can't really stomach or even afford a 7.5% interest rate. There are people who've been sitting on the sidelines saying, well, I don't care what interest rates are because prices are going to drop by 50%. I hate to tell everybody, like, barring like a nuclear fallout, there is no way housing is going to drop by 50%. Like the only way housing, so they call it the laws of supply and demand, as you know, because it's a law, it's not a theory. So the law of supply and demand says when there is no supply and there is consistent demand, prices must increase, period. Whether it's eggs, we had that run on eggs recently, like whatever there is a shortage of, if the demand does not stop, the prices increase. Well, I think you're going to see maybe around Christmas time, interest rates come down into the fives, sixes for sure, but maybe fives. And then I think you're going to see a very robust real estate market. You're going to see sellers who have been waiting go like, well, 3.5 to 7.5 is a big jump, but 3.5 to 5.5 is a jump I can make. So you're going to see those homes come on the market, those buyers enter the market, and all the people who've been sitting on the sidelines going like, I just can't stomach an 8% interest rate. You're going to go 5.5, I can make that work. So I could be totally wrong, but most of what I read says the interest rates are going to get better around the holiday time, which is going to lead into, whatever political side of the aisle you lean on, irrelevant. Like the Democrats need a good economy to not get slaughtered in the presidential election. So I think that whatever pressure they can apply, they're going to apply to get interest rates down, which will boost not just the real estate economy, but the auto market, consumer debt, and all those things. So I think you're going to see a softening in the interest rates, which is going to really impact the real estate industry for the positive.
I agree with you 100%. Was just telling somebody over the weekend, I was like, I think we're going to have an amazing spring and probably an early spring. And I think people are going to have a really good 2024. So I agree with you 100%.
Right.
Love it.
Totally.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, before we go, let's talk about tomorrow's big event because I didn't even know anything much about this because I'm new to Real. So tell everybody about please.
Yeah. So Spring Benson, Amy Youngren. So Amy's based out of Toronto, Canada, and myself are all kind of tied together through our family tree at Real. So what I think is unique to Real is that we don't have silos. There are no competitive us versus them. So everything we do is open to the entire company and for that part to the entire industry. So we're launching what we're calling the Real Estate Collective, which is the easiest way to think of it is like a support group for our agents. And by supporting our agents, there's 1,500, 2,000 of them, whatever in our world, we're also opening it up to the entire company and to the entire industry. And so like our first we're going to do a quarterly virtual event. So our first one, you've got Giselle Giarte, I think is how you say her last name, out of New York. She's a social media influencer in the real estate space. She's speaking. Sharon Srivatsa is speaking, who I believe is kind of the brightest mind in real estate. Like he's amazing. Jimmy Mackin is speaking, he's the owner of Curator. Mike Shum, who's a national real estate coach, is speaking. So those are kind of our key speakers. The goal there is just to provide value to the industry. So whether you're in our network at Real, at our company with Real, or at some other company feeling lonely, we want you to know that you have a place to come to get support. Number two, we want to create value in proximity. Like we want people to want to be around us. And so how do you want people to be around you? You create a lot of value in your ecosystem. And so our ecosystem, which is the Real Collective, is going to be a place where agents come and feel supported. They feel like they're seen and heard. We destroy loneliness. Like you don't have to be lonely in our world. Like if you're going through it, so are we. Let's go through it together. And so tomorrow it's ownit2023.com, free registration. Tomorrow, the opportunity for you to come here again, thinking of it as like a knowledge buffet. You're not going to learn something from everybody, and you're not going to learn everything from somebody. The goal is come and get a few things that you could add to your plate. They're going to help you feed your family. Yep. And so whether you tune in and like Sharon says something that just gives you that idea that allows you to put a couple more deals together, awesome. If Giselle talks about something from a social media perspective that allows an agent to create a couple of extra deals every year, awesome. If Jimmy Mackin or Mike Shum, like that's the goal there, is just have this. We already have 500 plus people registered. So we want to get, a really big audience. great value. There's no bait and switch. Like, no one's going to be pitched on Reel. No one's going to be pitched on our team. No one's going to be pitched on anything. It's purely a value add. And then the hope is if people find value in being in our world, even if they're KW for life, come be a part of our world. Come add to our ecosystem, even if you stay at KW forever. Like, come grow with us, learn with us, build with us. And, you know, the hope is that that power of proximity is something that helps you feed your family, which will in turn, oddly enough, help us feed ours.
Love that. And it's free. You heard him say that. It's totally free.
100%. Yep. There's no cost.
It's education. You know, people need to be educated now more than ever. People's numbers are down. This can help you grow your business. If you take one thing away
100%.
and actually implement it, what can it do for your life? Awesome stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Tell them the link one more time. And we're going to put it in the comments too, y'all.
Yeah, it's Own It 2023. So OWNIT2023.com. OwnIt2023.com.
And you guys, Joe is all over social media. I find him on Instagram. He's all over my news feed on Instagram. What's the best place for him to find you, though?
Instagram, at Joe Herrera. I actually respond to Instagram DMs faster than I respond to text messages. So, like, Instagram, my account on Instagram is 100% agent focused. So I don't put out any consumer content really. It's all trying to solve the problem of the agent, like trying to help the agent be more successful, do more deals, you know, basically provide for their families. And then from there, like, create wealth, right? Like, every agent has the opportunity to buy and invest in 3 properties a year. We all pass over them because we think that we don't have the money, we don't have the knowledge. And so those are key components of what I'm always sharing is just, we can do this. If I can do it, you can do it. Like, if I had a calling card, it would be that. If I can do this, you can do this, right? Like, if I can create a network, you can create a network. If I can have an investment company, you can have an investment company. If I can have JV, you could have JV. Yep. Like, I think people watch me and go like, if that guy could do it, I could do it, right? Like, there's certain people you watch and you're like, there's no way I'm going to be Gary Vaynerchuk, right? Like, he's just
right.
a monster. But like, what I try to put out in the world is like, if he could do it, I can do it. And I love that. Like, I hope that's what people get out of hearing me speak or seeing any things we do is like, if he can do it, I can do it. If people feel that way, then I know I've succeeded.
And look, you guys, he's been with Real 2 years and it's changed his life. Like, clearly there was something to it, because I was with EXP for almost 5 years and I left. And it was because it was an opportunity, and I got to meet some people that I thought were really cool. And I was like, you know what? I believe in this. And here in Houston, it's not really known yet, but it's going to be, because we're very vocal about it and we're super excited about it. Joe, thank you so much for being on here today. You guys make sure and hit him up, follow him on Instagram. He does put out a lot of content about how to help you grow your business, how to sell more homes. Like, what are the real estate agents' problems? He can help you. Yeah. Exactly. And make sure and tune in tomorrow to the event. Own It, you guys. We'll put the link below in the comments. You guys have an awesome day. Bye, Joe. Bye, guys.